Hello everybody, I hope you're going well. Today I will show you how to Englund Gambit your opponents, because the idea of this opening isn't just to be a specific opening. The idea is also to actually surprise anyone with a certain type of tactical pattern that is pretty rare. So let's just start. So the Englund Gambit is when the game starts with d4 and e5. So this is a very usable trap, and because it isn't only a trap, it is actually a real opening. And I can just recommend you to look at this. You can actually look at a lot of the games that I can actually because I will show you some games right now. But it is important to really analyze the lines that you will go for when you play with the white pieces, especially because it is super easy for black but not for white. So the reason why the Englund Gambit is so complex is because of actually all the connections that we have. I just want to show you some patterns. You do have this type of forks which are attacking absolutely everything: the king, pieces, and some weaknesses. For example, let's just say, because the game starts with e4, let's just say that the game starts like that: d4, e5, d takes e5, and now knight c6. The idea is just to attack the pawn on e5. Okay, there are quite a lot of moves to defend. To defend the e5 pawn. There is the logical looking move f4, there is bishop f4, there is knight f3. F4, we can just go for d6. The idea is just to take there. We are not, okay, let's say knight c3. We are not, scared of the queen trade. For example, we take there, white takes, we take back, this. It is just equal, but because there is an isolated d pawn, it's possible that white will suffer a lot because the pawn structure is actually getting destroyed. And okay, it is just an equal position, but black is slightly better. So that is the first good point. So let's say knight f3 instead. If knight f3, we can just go bishop g4, trying to take that knight. Of course, if pawn takes, bishop takes, no matter what type of position. Let's say white takes over there, we can just take immediately with the d6 bishop. But actually, I would recommend you to go bishop g4, because if you go pawn takes pawn, you can just go queen c7. We are down 2 pawns, but we will go rook d8, bishop d6, and there are just too many problems. For example, let's say knight f3, rook d8. Okay, the queen cannot run away, so let's say bishop d2, knight f6. We are already, attacking everything. Knight e4 is a move, b4 is a move. So this line is actually something very interesting. There is no more theory. You just have to know the plans of knight e4, knight b4, bishop b4. If you know that all of that exists, you can already go for the Englund Gambit. Then it's just a question of practicing, a certain amount of games. So okay, knight c6, f4 isn't that such a problem. If bishop f4, you will actually go for g5. G5 is a very interesting move. If you don't want to go for that, you can just go queen e7, trying to get the pawn back. And if knight f3, again you go d6, pawn takes, queen f6, and just attacking everything. So again, you see that we still have the same connection between all the pieces. This fork. Taking back is of course all right, but then white is just better because white is up a pawn and all the pieces are out. So that is why we have to play dynamical chess, and go for everything at the same time. So let's go back. Let's say white plays some logical moves like, that's a good question. Let's say knight f3. What we want to go for is actually queen e7, attacking the pawn on e5. If knight c3, we can just take back, and okay, that's a very difficult position. Knight d5 isn't winning on the spot because there is knight takes f3, in between move check, and after g takes queen d8, it is just an equal position. But okay, the game goes on. We are not winning with black, we are not losing with black, it's just equal. So of course, for example, bishop f4 is probably the best move, but then we can just go d6, defend everything, and again, if knight there, knight f3 and queen d8, and we are all good. It's all good, man. So let's go back. Of course, the critical move is bishop f4, and I will show you why this move is so incredible. The reason why this move is actually pretty strong is because why this move is a strong-looking move is because it is bringing a piece out and it is defending the pawn on e5. But of course, there is a line that has to be analyzed, and that is, of course, the move queen b4 check. So this move is very important to know because it is attacking the king, it is check, the bishop, and the pawn on d2. There is one good move and there is a losing move. So queen d2 is the losing move and bishop d2 is the good move. If bishop d2, we have to go back to e7. We want to take that pawn back. Of course, if knight c3, we can just take back there. Knight e5, again, there is just check and queen d8. Of course, it is a new chess game. You have to practice it a lot. But let's go back. Of course, the main problem is queen d2, and queen d2 is losing on the spot for white. The reason why it's losing is because white probably underestimated the problem of giving away the b2 pawn, because we can just take the pawn. Okay, we are attacking the rook. So how do we defend the rook? If we go queen c3 trying to defend the rook, there is just bishop b4 pinning the queen. So we get the queen, easy peasy. And yeah, that's about it. So let's say you go c3. We can just go queen a1 and we're just up a rook. And if you go queen c2 trying to do something, yeah, you need bishop c1, bishop b2. But okay, let's say go d6. Let's say you go bishop c1. I take there. You go bishop b2. Oops, I get the pawn on a2 and I can just run away. So there is no reason to worry. You just have to wait, In the worst case, you would just go bishop f5, and that's also all right, or bishop e6. So there is no reason to worry. And of course, if pawn takes, bishop takes, and bishop takes, pawn takes, that is not a problem. We're just up a full rook. So there is no reason to complain about anything. Let's go back. Yeah, so let's go back. It's possible that after queen d2, queen takes b2, another move will be played, and the move will be, let me think for a second. Yeah, queen c3, I already spoke about that. Actually, it's possible that your opponents will go for e3. The idea is that if you take there is queen c1, but then it's important to know that you have a winning move, which is actually a pretty important move. It is bishop b4 check. The reason why it's a good move is because if c3, you can just take there. Knight takes loses the queen, and if queen takes knight. And we can just run away with the queen, and we're just completely winning with the black pieces. So that is, something important to keep in mind. I want to show you another line. Let's say we go for exactly the same trap. It's possible that, I'm sorry, I misclicked. It's possible that actually after bishop d2 and queen takes b2, you will think, oh, but I will get the queen like that with the white pieces. The problem is that there is just a very nice move, bishop b4. Again, it is the same variation after queen b4 check, bishop d2. I showed you queen e7, but queen b2 is also interesting. Because, okay, if knight c3, white is now winning because the queen is trapped. This, and queen, for example, knight d5. There are just too many problems, and now it is actually losing. That is why I'm recommending you to go back to e7, or even going back to c5. It's like you feel. Let's go back. Queen b2, bishop c3. The trap is, of course, bishop b4, pinning. If bishop takes, we can just take back with the knight. We want to go queen a1 and knight takes e2. And let's go back. If queen d2, we can take on c3. If knight takes, we get the queen. I'm sorry, we get the rook with the queen. And if queen takes e3, we have queen c1 checkmate. So notice that there are quite a lot of traps that are pretty strong. The real question is, what should we do if white doesn't accept the Englund Gambit? If white doesn't accept it, it's not a problem. You will just go for something like, let's say, because bishop f4 is not the real Englund Gambit. I showed you bishop f4 previously, but this is probably one of the best responses for white. We can again just go queen e7 and just accept to give the pawn back. But like I said, there is no reason to worry. We can just protect everything. Yeah, in the worst case, it is just equal, or white will have an engine level win. It's possible that after knight f3 f6 you might feel uncomfortable, but that is why you have to practice it a lot. Or watch at other videos on the channel, because on this channel you will actually learn a lot of tactical patterns which are pretty important for your use of the openings. So if you have any more questions, just go down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Do not forget to subscribe, to share the channel.